Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are talking about a step that is so critical, yet so many projects get it wrong, or they just skip it altogether. And that is formally closing a contract. Yeah, I know, it might sound like boring paperwork, but trust me, ignoring this can leave you wide open to huge legal risks and a ton of lost knowledge. So let's dive into how doing this right is the key to protecting your work and, honestly, building future success.
Okay, so picture this. The work is delivered, the product is launched, the service is officially complete. You're finished, right? It's so tempting to just pack up and move on. But that very assumption, right there, that's a trap. It's exactly where all those hidden risks for project managers and their companies are born.
You see, there is a massive difference between a project that's merely finished and one that's formally closed. One of those paths, well, it can lead to total chaos. We're talking lingering disputes, surprise bills showing up months later, and all that hard-won knowledge just, poof, vanishing into thin air. The other path, though, that one leads to clarity, legal security, and a really powerful foundation for your next project.
So let's break down exactly why this isn't just, good practice. Nope, this is a non-negotiable step for protecting your organization and, frankly, proving your value as a leader. Here's a really great way to think about it. Delivering a project is like landing a plane. The wheels are on the runway, which is a huge milestone, for sure. But you wouldn't just throw open the doors and jump out, would you? Of course not. Contract closure, that's the process of safely taxiing to the gate, shutting down the engines, and closing out the flight plan. It's what completes the mission, safely and professionally. At the end of the day, this whole process creates real, tangible value. You get formal accountability, so absolutely everyone agrees the job is well and truly done. You get to eliminate all those nagging loose ends that can just blow up into legal headaches months down the road. And maybe, just maybe, the most important thing is you capture what went right and what went wrong, turning this project's experience into fuel for the next one.
So, how do you actually do this? Well, you don't just wing it. You need a playbook. And that playbook starts with gathering 3 key documents, your inputs. These 3 documents, they're your foundation. You've got the rulebook, the specific game plan, and the official evidence you're going to need for a clean, airtight closure. Let's break them down.
First up, the procurement management plan. This is your 30,000-foot view. It was probably created way, way back at the start of the project, and it dictates the overall rules of engagement for closure. Who's in charge of what, what's the timeline, how are we going to keep records?
Okay, next, you zoom in with the contract management plan. If that first document was the overall strategy, this one is the tactical checklist for this specific contract. It's all about answering one simple question. Did the seller deliver exactly what they promised? This is where you'll find all the nitty-gritty details on deliverables, performance metrics, and acceptance criteria.
And finally, you have the contract documentation itself. I want you to think of this as the case file, the complete paper trail. It's got the original agreement, every single change request, all the performance reports, everything. This file is your undeniable proof that the seller held up their end of the bargain. Okay, you've got your playbook. Now it's time to run the plays. Let's get into the actual tools and techniques you're going to use to make this closure official. Really, the whole process boils down to 2 key steps. First is product verification. The question here is dead simple. Did we get what we paid for? You're just confirming every single deliverable matches the specs. Second, you got administrative closure. This is all about dotting the I's and crossing the T's, finalizing payments, archiving files, and tying up every single loose end. Now, a really powerful tool here is the procurement audit. And this is crucial. This isn't about pointing fingers, no way. It's a structured, blame-free review of the whole process from start to finish. The only goal is to find out what worked and what didn't, so you don't make the same mistakes next time. And all that amazing learning from the audit, well, it needs a place to live, right? That's why you need a solid records management system. Think of it as your organization's official library, a secure, organized archive for all this documentation. Because without it, all that hard-earned knowledge, it just vanishes. And hey, this isn't just about good internal housekeeping. There is a critical legal component here. A lot of local laws and regulations dictate exactly how long you are required to keep these documents on file, and sometimes we're talking years. So before anyone even thinks about hitting delete, you absolutely have to verify the legal requirements.
Okay, you've done all the work, you've followed the playbook, you used the right tools. So, what do you actually get out of it? Let's talk about the final payoff, because this is where the lasting value of this whole thing really shines through.
The first and, let's be honest, the most obvious payoff is the closed contract itself. This is not just a file in a digital cabinet, it's the official, signed-off document that declares the project complete, the deliverables accepted, and the agreement totally fulfilled.
And you know what? That piece of paper has power. It's your formal notification to the seller that their work is officially done, which ends their obligations. But even more importantly, it becomes your organization's legal shield, protecting you from any surprise claims or disputes that could just pop up months or even years down the line. But the real long-term win is this. You're building your organization's institutional memory. You're feeding all this incredible intelligence right back into the system. The lessons from your audit, the performance data, the final contract, it all becomes part of a knowledge base that makes everyone in your organization smarter and way more prepared for the next project.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question. Think about the last big project you completed. Is it just done? Or is the contract truly closed? Because, the answer to that question could be the difference between a clean success and a future problem you just haven't met yet.